ever dream of a job where getting away from it all is literally like part of the job description?
Hmm.
Well, today's deep dive, takes us into the world of forestry equipment operators.
Yeah.
And based on the RoleCatcher materials you've shared, it's a lot more complex than just driving big machines through the woods.
It certainly is.
Yeah.
What's fascinating is how this field blends traditional trade skills with growing concerns about sustainability.
Mhm.
We often hear about the stable employment outlook for these operators,
Right.
but it's not just about filling a need.
Hmm.
It's about meeting the rising global demand for wood products responsibly.
That's a really good point. It's like everyone wants those beautiful wooden countertops, but no one's picturing where it all comes from.
Right.
So you're saying this job is as much about knowing how to harvest trees as it is about preserving the forest for the future.
Precisely. And that's where the skills come in. We see from the career guide that it's not just one type of machine they're operating. You've got harvesters,
Okay.
which are these incredible pieces of equipment that actually cut and delimb the trees right there on the spot.
Wow.
Then there are forwarders. They're like the big rigs of the forest,
Yeah.
hauling the logs out to be processed.
Mhm.
And let's not forget the skidders, which drag the logs across difficult terrain. It's a symphony of heavy machinery working in sync.
Wow. I'm already picturing a whole ballet of logging equipment. But seriously, it sounds like this job requires some serious technical know-how, not to mention a cool head under pressure. I mean, I'd be terrified of running one of those things into a tree, let alone operating all the different levers and gadgets.
You're right, it's a lot more demanding than it might seem at first glance.
Yeah.
The guide talks about the need for strong mechanical aptitude, not just for operating the equipment, but also for routine maintenance and on-the-spot repairs.
Oh, right.
And then there are the safety protocols. You're working with powerful machinery in sometimes unpredictable conditions.
Okay, so not a job for the faint of heart,
Hmm.
but for someone who thrives on that kind of hands-on challenge, what's the upside? What's the career path look like for a forestry equipment operator?
Well, the guide lays out a pretty clear progression from entry-level positions where you're mostly focused on mastering the basics all the way up to senior operator roles.
Okay.
And those senior roles are where things get really interesting.
Oh, how so? What does a seasoned forestry equipment operator actually do besides, operate forestry equipment?
That's where those soft skills come into play. You're not just managing machines, you're often overseeing entire logging operations.
Okay.
Think coordinating teams, troubleshooting problems, even collaborating with foresters to implement sustainable harvesting practices.
So it's a lot more strategic and big picture thinking than people might assume.
Yeah,
You're not just taking orders, you're actually making decisions that impact the health of the forest itself. That's a pretty big responsibility.
absolutely.
Yeah.
And that level of responsibility comes with the potential for higher earnings too.
Right.
But even beyond the financial rewards, there's something deeply satisfying about knowing your work is contributing to something essential.
Yeah.
We all rely on wood products in countless ways, and these are the folks who make it happen while ensuring there are forests for generations to come.
You've definitely painted a more nuanced picture than I had in mind, but let's be real, it's a competitive job market out there. What can someone do to stand out from the crowd if they're serious about this career path?
You're hitting on a critical point. Preparation is
Yeah.
key. And that's
Yeah.
where those RoleCatcher interview prep resources you mentioned come in handy.
Right.
They offer some fascinating insights into what potential employers are looking for beyond just the technical skills.
Yeah, I was blown away by the sheer volume of potential interview questions they have in their database, over 120,000. What's the value of having access to that much information? Is it really about memorizing answers, or is there something more to it?
It's definitely not about memorization. It's about understanding the types of questions employers ask, and more importantly, what those questions reveal about the skills and attributes they value most. For example, they might ask about a time you had to handle a difficult situation under pressure, or how you've contributed to a team environment.
So it's about showcasing your problem-solving abilities, your communication skills, your ability to work effectively with others, those soft skills we were talking about earlier.
Exactly. And that's something that often gets overlooked. You could be the best machine operator in the world, but if you can't communicate effectively, work collaboratively, or think critically on your feet, you're not going to thrive in this field.
That makes perfect sense. It's like any job, really, technical skills will get you in the door, but it's those interpersonal skills that often determine how far you go.
And what I find particularly interesting is that RoleCatcher goes beyond just listing questions.
Yep.
They actually provide insights into what interviewers are really looking for in your answers. They're helping you craft a narrative that showcases your strengths and aligns with the values of the industry.
Speaking of narratives, let's talk about that AI-powered tool, the RoleCatcher Copilot. That sounds straight out of a sci-fi movie. Is it really like having a personal interview coach in your pocket?
It's pretty close. Essentially, you can use it to practice your interview responses
Hmm.
and get personalized feedback on everything from your content to your delivery.
Interesting.
The AI analyzes your responses and identifies areas where you can improve your clarity, conciseness, and overall effectiveness.
Wow, that's incredible. It's like having a secret weapon to help you ace those interviews.
It's definitely a valuable tool, especially in today's competitive job market. Yeah. But even beyond the interview process, it speaks to a larger point about this field, the importance of continuous learning and adaptation.
Because the technology is always evolving and the demands of the industry are constantly changing, right?
Exactly. Think about all the advancements we're seeing in forestry equipment, from GPS-guided machinery to sophisticated harvesting systems that minimize environmental impact.
Right.
To succeed in this field, you need to be adaptable,
Uh-huh.
a quick learner, and always willing to embrace new technologies and approaches.
It's like that saying, the only constant is change. And speaking of change, I'm curious about the whole technological advancements aspect mentioned in the guide. What does the future hold for forestry equipment? Are we talking robots cutting down trees anytime soon?
Well, we're not quite at the robot lumberjack stage yet, but automation's definitely making its way into the field. Imagine this. Instead of a human operator in the cab, you've got a machine using sensors and GPS to navigate the forest, selecting and harvesting trees with incredible precision.
Whoa, that's wild. It's like something out of a sci-fi movie, but also kind of cool. Though I imagine it also raises some interesting questions about the impact on jobs and the workforce.
Absolutely, that's a crucial consideration. But rather than viewing it as a complete replacement of human workers, I think it's more helpful to see it as an evolution of the role. Those highly skilled operators we talked about, the ones with years of experience and expertise, they'll be the ones managing these automated systems, ensuring they're operating safely and effectively.
So it's less about machines taking over and more about humans and technology working together in a new way.
Precisely. And that's where those adaptable skills and that commitment to lifelong learning become even more crucial,
Mhm.
because the technology isn't going to stand still.
So for someone listening to this, someone who's drawn to the idea of working outdoors, maybe loves the idea of operating these massive machines, but also cares about sustainability, where do they go from here?
The RoleCatcher career guide you shared is a great starting point. It's packed with detailed information about the profession, the required training, and potential career paths.
And don't forget those interview prep resources. Practicing those questions and getting feedback, even from that AI tool, could make all the difference when you're facing those hiring managers. Because let's be real, even if robots are doing some of the work in the future, acing that interview is still going to be up to you.
Very true. And beyond the practicalities, I'd encourage anyone considering this path to really reflect on the deeper aspects we've discussed. How do your personal values align with the idea of responsible forestry? What kind of impact do you envision yourself making in this field?
Those are great questions to ponder because at the end of the day, it's about finding a career that's not just a job, but something you can feel passionate about. And who knows, maybe you'll be one of those pioneers shaping the future of forestry with a chainsaw in one hand and a joystick in the other.
Now that's a picture. It's an exciting time to be entering this field, full of challenges and opportunities in equal measure.
Well said. And on that note, we'll start wrapping things up. If this deep dive into the world of forestry equipment operators has sparked your curiosity, we encourage you to keep exploring. Check out those RoleCatcher resources, do some more research, and most importantly, don't be afraid to picture yourself in the driver's seat shaping the future of our forests.
Because as we've learned today, it's a future worth shaping.
And for those of you who want to continue the conversation, hop on over to our social media and share your thoughts using hashtag #DeepDiveForestry. We always love hearing from you. Until next time, keep those questions coming, and as always, happy diving.